Installing the walls was by far the most difficult process throughout the entire van build. And I had several ideas about how I thought I would do it. As the process was unfolding, I realized those ideas weren't going to work, and I played it by ear as I was going to fit the space that I needed to cover and the shape of the walls. The van was about 9 feet long. I was able to use an 8 foot by 4 foot board to cover most of the wall adjacent the doors, and that was very nice to be able to do because it covered most of the wall all at once and I only had to use one board. I've got this big board finished, which I'm gonna put in here. I measured it out so it should fit pretty snugly around the wheel wells on that piece that comes out and the gas part. I've got this wall put up on the side here. It took a little bit of work to get the dimensions just right. It wasn't right exactly how I cut it, so I had to go back and cut it a few times to make room for the gas pump and the wheel well. I am pretty happy with how well it stuck onto the ribs. I put in a bunch of screws. I'm going to cover those up. Once I had done that, there was just about a 1 foot space remaining, so I cut out another board and custom fit that one in the same manner. And then on the other wall, the one that the interior doors were on, the body doors, I did the same process. I cut out the space for the wheel well and I attached it by screwing directly into the rib on the van wall. I've got a bunch of wood over here. I'm about to place this wall up, bracing it to the ground and working with whatever I'm able to. The walls that I had put up, these 1/2-inch plywoods, I had painted them white, but they didn't look very good because there were screws and I had connected 2 boards, so it was pretty ugly. I decided I needed something to cover it up, but before I put any covering on, I wanted to put my wheel well covers in place so I'd know the exact space I was going to be working with. The wheel well covers were pretty easy to do because the space I was working with was very square. I'm ready to put the wheel well covers on. I made these 4 pieces here that should fit on either side. Then I'm going to use these boards to go the long ways and on top. To attach these, I'm going to put them down, wood glue them to the ground, and then put a brace right here. So it should be pretty sturdy, and then the board will go the long way there. So I used 2x4s and these 2 foot by 4 foot composite boards I had purchased at the hardware store. I made a rectangular prism that fit right around the wheel wells. I braced everything down. I braced it to the floor, I braced it to the walls. And I also made sure to brace the walls directly to my wooden floor as well to give it an added layer of support. Got my wheel well covers pretty well fashioned. It's gonna be a good place to put my bed. Go across, I'm gonna put some 2x4s that go along and then maybe a few cross-sectional pieces of wood just so it's a bit of a even surface and I won't be falling through the cracks. Here I've got this cavity. I am gonna fill it with fiberglass insulation. I'm gonna put the fiberglass insulation in this bag, 2 bags, 1 on each side, just put it over there, and then drill the top piece down. So the walls were connected to the wheel wells and the floor. The wheel wells were connected to the walls, were connected to the floor. So everything was very secure and all interlaced. So if I went up and I tried to shake those wheel well covers, I was shaking the whole van. I wasn't moving the wheel well covers. Redundancy was key. I probably added more than I needed to, but I wanted everything to be sturdy. Once those wheel well covers were in place, I was able to put my bed in. My bed was just 4 2x4s that went the length of the van, and then crisscross 1/4 inch plywood boards that were about 4 inches by 4 feet. So I had a grid structure just to put my mattress on. once that was in, I knew exactly the space I would need to be covering with my cedar paneling. So I got a bunch of boxes of cedar paneling from the hardware store, and I installed them. They fit top to bottom, left to right. Just went through, screwed the hole I was going to nail into, and then nailed it directly to the plywood board. It worked pretty well. I think it looks pretty good. Smells nice. The last thing I did was put the table in. I had a table surface that I had put together using 2 old shelves, and I put it directly secured to the box I had covered up the fuel intake portion with. That was also braced down. The 2x4s were braced to the box and braced to the floor. The table was screwed to the wall and braced to the 2x4s. It's a pretty sturdy table, but I wouldn't go and stand on the corner. That was the entire interior process that I had done, and it was by far the hardest process. It took about 6 or 7 days to complete, to put everything in. But I'm happy with how it turned out, and I really just made sure to be redundant and to secure everything as much as I could, because when I was driving, I didn't want walls falling down, I didn't want things shaking around, and I think that's very important. Make sure, even if you think you might be doing too much, I don't think there is too much you can do as far as securing walls to the interior of the van, to the floor, securing your wheel well covers. I really would recommend that you don't have the possibility of things breaking or shaking around, because when you're on the road, you're not going to want to have to deal with your wheel well cover breaking off or a wall coming down. That being said, the process took a lot of muscle, but it was worth it, and I'm very happy with the result. Thank you so much. The journey is about to start soon. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.